Hi, it's time for good energy, and I'm Dr. Julie, and today is Bodyful Day 69, the sense of hearing, sounding yourself into coping, or sounding your way into coping. All right, so today is, again, sort of a review day, but we're working on this concept of how to calm the system when you have driven yourself into a high activation state, what somatotherapists call a global high activation state, where the stress of the situation has literally risen up your spine and exploded out of your head. And you're like, I have no control over what is coming out next. All right, so today we're going to talk about how sound can bring you back. Let's start with our basics. Go ahead and take a deep breath in. And release. Breathe from down in the bottom of your ribs all the way up to the top. Again, it's all about flow. Get that air into your lungs. Deep breath in. And release. All right, think about any stress for the day. Today was video recording day in our house because we have a virtual dance recital that we had to record our snippets for. And when you don't like being in front of the camera anyway, recording 4 times, well, more than 4 times, so you can get 4 snippets, is a little stressful on everybody in the household. So it has been a little stressful. So I'm going to think about that, think about where I'm holding that. Ooh, I can feel that in the back of my neck. Let's take a deep breath in, breathe into that space. And release. All right. So today we're talking about sound. And we have done a lot of discussion of sound. We have talked about everything from figuring out what tone makes you feel better. You'll notice that I'm actually in the back porch because everybody's doing lawn stuff around me. And so I've got a blower I can hear. I've got the lawnmower. So we're here to get a little less noise. But my kids are playing video games, and every once in a while you're going to hear yelling and screaming from there. So the idea was to be in here to be the least quiet because, of course, we're talking about sound. And we're talking about sound in relationship to controlling your nervous system. So I find it even more hilarious that today is the day we're doing this. So we've talked about sound in terms of calming, not razzing or annoying. We've talked about sound in terms of calming from perspective of finding the right lower frequency for you, allowing sound to wash over you, like, the sound of ripping paper or fingers rubbing together, or the sound of brushes, or anything that sounds very personal and close. That can cause the asthma response. I've talked about language learning, white noise machines, checking your hearing by using the 2-finger test. I've talked about testing hearing from bone conduction and the fact that we have bone conduction headphones. And I've talked about hearing streams. Now, in terms of calming the nervous system, there are a couple of things. Tones are one of them that can calm the nervous system. And the other one I want to talk about is language learning / white noise. So imagine the following situation. You have woken up in the middle of the night with a nightmare. And if that isn't a global high activation state, I don't know what is. When you're trying to run away and you can't, you wake up, you feel like you've been moving through sludge. Every inch of your body, your tactile body is tense. You feel like you've been lifting weights all night. And it's only 3 a.m. And the idea of actually calming yourself to the point where you can fall asleep is pretty nerve-wracking. And the deal is that clearly we can't do a lot of vestibular stimulation because we're lying in our bed, and our muscles are already tight and obnoxious, and it's really hard when you're sleeping next to your partner to start doing tactile stuff to calm your body, and kinesthetic stuff to calm your body. And so we've already knocked out, and sight, obviously. So we knock out 4 different senses that we can actually do when we wake up in the middle of the night and our body is just totally wired. Sound is one of them that we can use to get back into the body. Smell, we could also do some aromatherapy. We could open up some essential oils or steam something. And that could bring us back into a calmer state. But sound is a really easy way to get the nervous system to chill out. Now, there's sort of 2 different camps. There are the people that say I need a lot of noise in order to totally shut down all the sound that is going on in my head. And then there are others that take the route of I want to sort of hear it but not understand it. And so there are 2 different routes. I want to caution against the really loud, because once you put in really loud, what happens is that it then creates tension inside your head, because really loud sounds require that your muscles inside your ears actually tense up to reduce the intensity of the sound. So whatever feels more calming, following a melody, following something that you've already done, putting on like The Princess Bride on Netflix, not that it's on Netflix, but putting it on your iPad and just letting the sameness of something wash over you. That's very calming. Something where you know the next word or you know the next line. That is top-down processing from the auditory perspective. Your brain is like, yep, we know what the next line is. And so when your brain can start predicting, then you can start calming down. Those who go the other route, which is let's put something on that I can't quite understand, but I know it's voices and I know it's innocuous. That's also a route where you can put on, find a national radio station doing BBC America or BBC News, BBC News Source, BBC Radio 1, no, not Radio 1. But, BBC World News, there we go. Put on like BBC World News where you are hearing the same thing, but you can turn it down and you can kind of say, I'm hearing the same thing. I don't really understand it, but it's just people saying sort of the same thing in the same manner over and over again. And that can cause some calming situations. I will tell you that my youngest, in the past couple of days, has learned the calming nature of audiobooks. So the 7-year-old was having a really hard time figuring out his coping mechanisms, and we found that if we put on audiobooks that he's already been read to, because he already knows the book, if we put on audiobooks of those, that he can dig into those and just listen and chill out. Now, that's a very interesting thing for a 7-year-old to discover, that audiobooks are auditorily calming, and he does really well with auditory calming. And it shouldn't be that surprising. For some people, auditory calming is just something they do. If you find yourself humming a lot, if you find yourself whistling a lot, if you find yourself singing a lot, then you're probably really into that coping mechanism of an auditory calming route. But I wanted to put you in the waking up with a nightmare just to kind of get everybody on the same page. When would you want to use auditory calming? All right, so today's been a bit of a ramble. I hope it's been helpful. And so think about, are you somebody who needs to have the predictability? So do you need to put in an old film that you've seen multiple times to provide a coping mechanism? Or do you need to put in something that's consistent, but you can't quite understand it so that it's more soothing white noise? A couple of different ways to do with your auditory coping. And you can always put on tones and music and different types of music that are designed to activate different parts of the brain. If you go into Pandora, you can type in crown chakra radio, you can type in solar plexus chakra radio. They actually have things that are designed to activate the energy of each chakra, or at least musicians who think they've created things that do that. All right, so we can use sound to calm the system. And it really has a lot to do with your preference and how you like that sound. But you can choose. So take a look at some of the past days that we've talked about sound and see if you can use anything when you are in that high global activation state. If it's a type of, put language learning on, if it's a particular type of music, if it's listening to, a particular type of commentary, so BBC World Radio, just to hear the same thing to bring your body back into its own state. All right, enough for today. Take a deep breath in and release. And we've got one more approach to coping coming up tomorrow. Have a great day.